The one thing about having this book is that it's given me the audacity. And my audacity is saying I think I could recreate him. I'm pretty certain I can recreate him. So I want to give it a shot for Fan Expo, you know? I think it would be fun to have something like this for Fan Expo for a cosplay. I always do more casual cosplays anyways because of my disability. Why not just have a big puppet? I think it'd be fun. Let's try it. The fact I have to film this on the floor should give you an idea of how big this is, but this original piece of paper is 11 by 15. I needed 2 pieces. So that gives you an idea basically of how big he is. He's mostly beak. This part here is incorrect. I need to move this support beam down a little bit because it is a little bit closer down here. This one here is the controls for the mouth and the eyes, so that he can wink and whatnot. And then I'll be doing all the detailing work here. And the way I'll be doing it is, so I'm gonna make a base, kind of like a 3D mock-up of his head, using the balls as a base. And then I'm going to wrap him in tin foil, and I'm basically going to make a 3D mock-up of his head that I can then wrap in tape or saran wrap and cut pattern off of. That way I can make a completely unique pattern from the head that is directly taken off of my own sketch. So that's going to take some work. I'm going to jump right into doing that. Okay, now that I've got the mock-up, I've got the sketch, I've made the 3D model. Let's just stay. There we go. It doesn't seem as big now, genuinely. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this in saran wrap and cling wrap, and then we're gonna cover it in painter's tape. That way I can take it apart, cut it up, and make up a pattern set to cut it out of foam. Because I've got a couple of ideas on how I'm going to do it, but I need to basically be able to keep this as a whole piece so that I can go back and reference it every so often. So yeah. Now it's a matter of wrapping this up in foam, or not foam, but saran wrap. If anybody's curious, there is one big styrofoam ball here, and then there's another one at the beginning of the beak. Everything else is tin foil and a little bit of tape just to help hold it together so it holds its shape. But yeah, I don't also have the under beak, or the jaw part, mostly because once I figure out the rigging for it, then I'll have the jaw part made up so I can pipe all the piping I need through it and whatnot. So yeah, that's why that piece isn't done, and that's why only the big part of the head is done. So I also don't have the eyes done up yet, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do the eyes. I've got a couple of different ideas. So that will be a whole breakdown on its own of figuring out Zazu's eyes. So let's wrap them up. Okay, now it's all taped up. So you can kind of see it in the video here, but I've got some lines drawn out on the tape. He's actually on an angle right now. He's supposed to sit like that. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out along the lines, and then I'll figure out a way of cutting the sphere of the base of the head out flat. Basically, this will give me a physical pattern that I can then take and cut out on my foam. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to just go along here. I've got another one underneath here so I can make it like a separate piece. And then I've got 2 for the top of the beak. And then I don't know how many it's going to require for the head, but it will be easier to know once I've got the beak off of whereabouts I need to cut on the head to get the shape. So onwards now to cutting it all off. I've jumped ahead a little bit minorly. I have them all cut out now. All my pieces. This is the bottom of the beak, this is the side of the beak, then another side of the beak, and then I've got the head that's up on top of my desk right now. And basically what I'm doing, I'm just literally tracing them onto my foam. Then up from here, I'm going to cut them out, basically repiece it back together. I'm using the same thickness of foam that I used on Robin's mic, because I want him to be a little bit bigger than my pattern. I actually downsize my pattern a little bit to compensate for him going to be bigger, because the neck piece I have, which, give me 1 second, is this. I could not find it in 2 inches, so I ended up getting stuck with 3. So this is 3 inches in diameter, and basically it's flexible piping that will allow me to move the neck around while still having that sturdiness to it. I've used these for like venting fog machines and whatnot, so I know it will hold up. or at least hold up decently well. I will also be like coating it to make sure that it will hold up. Realistically, I'm only bringing him for Saturday, so he just needs to hold up realistically for one day. So yeah, that's what I've got for the neck, and because it's a little bit thicker, I wanted to make him out of a little bit thicker foam to basically compensate for the size difference, because its neck is really big on the body right now. So yeah, that's where I currently am at. Okay, so I'm in the middle of piecing the beak together, using contact cement on the edges, and just basically gluing it together. Now I'm at the point where I gotta figure out the head, or the base of the head. I've got the mock-up right there. The slight issue is that the sizing that I initially estimated for isn't going to be big enough anymore, so I have an idea. Michaels has these foam balls in a couple of different sizes, and I think either this size or the next size up might be perfect. On top of it, it's already hollow, so that way I can put all the mechanisms for raking up the eyes inside without having to worry about, you know, carving out the entire ball or making it out of basically paper mache or whatnot. So I'm gonna go about doing it probably this way. I just gotta wait until it dries to figure out whether or not I do the 7.8 inch or if I go up to the 9. I'm thinking maybe going up to the 9, but I don't know. So it's one of those things where I'm in the middle of trying to figure it out and going from there. So that's where I am at the moment. I might take you guys with me to Michael's. Might do that, figure out the sizing, but yeah, I'll give you an update once I figured it out. Taking my Dremel, I have basically edged the edges, and basically made it so that they've got a slant in them so that it will nicely sit around the hemispheres that I have inside. Yeah, as you can't tell, I'm outside because it's a bit dusty to sand this stuff. So yeah, basically I've done that, sanded it down. I'm just gonna do a little bit of edging along the edge here. I'm not worried about how this looks so far because it's gonna get covered anyways. I'm gonna scrim the whole thing. Let's just rearrange here. And then I've also got the beak, and this is, I've just added foam clay onto the edge. Don't worry, I'm gonna clean up this whole edge here, don't you worry. And just to add that point, because it was missing the point, and there we go. So yeah, that's about where I am with the beak, and I'll show you it with the hemisphere when I get back inside. Okay, so I've now got the beak attached to the top half of the head out of the hemispheres from Michael's. I've got it all hollow on the inside. I'm gonna carve out these two for his eyes, which, okay, my short arms can only reach one, but I've got his eyes, and I've marked out on both sides little marks there to show where like center points are. They're not exactly perfect, but they'll give me an idea, and those are going to be set into the head a little bit. They're still going to be sticking about halfway, and I've got some armature wire here, which I'm in the process of straightening out, so I can take this, feed it through the eye, feed it through the head, and that way I can make them blink. I actually have one plan on how I'm going to do this. I'm going to use Worbla. I have not used Worbla with this type of foam before, so I'm gonna have to coat it. I'm probably gonna do wood glue, possibly. I think wood glue will give the shininess that I want. So I'm gonna coat it. It'll be good. And it'll be threaded through there, and it'll be able to rotate. That way I can still have a functioning eye, you know? And so I've also been thinking, okay, I gotta figure out how to make the beak work. You know, it's just this motion, or, well, that. I don't have the same amount of mobility that hurt, actually. But my tiny butt, I remembered I have a bunch of these. So I'm disassembling a couple of them. I've gotten one broken down already. When, it didn't work initially how I was going to break it down, so I may have, smashed it with a hammer. So yeah, anyways, what I'm gonna do is, well, basically I'm gonna cut off about here, just so I have just a little bit of this trigger mechanism, which is gonna be like the roof of the mouth, and so when I control it, that goes up and down. It does suck that it's probably going to be stuck in the open position. I'm going to have to hold his mouth closed. I might see if I can figure out a way around it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but he'll be able to talk. And what I'll do is on the trigger down here at the bottom, I will put in a secondary trigger that controls his eyes. And so that way I'll have one trigger on one finger to control the eyes, and I'll be able to control the head and the main movements with my thumb and the rest of my hand. So I'll put it probably where my index is. I'll feed it down, and that way I can still use this as the pole beam that supports his head in the middle there. So when I take the vinyl piping that is going to be his neck, which definitely scales a little bit better now with the big old head, it will actually work a little bit better. So yeah, if you're following along with this, don't make it to the same scale I did. Scale them down just a little bit, because I'm realizing how big he's going to be as a final thing. I also understand I'm 4'10". I am tiny. He's going to look very big in my arms, and I've just kind of accepted that's going to be a fact of life. So yeah, this is where I'm at. I'm going to go poke some holes in his eyes. Or, yeah, I'm going to go poke some holes in his eyes. I'll be back later. Okay, so we're a bit further ahead than we were last time. It's a little creepy, so just forewarning, if I can get these out. He's a bit hollow-headed right now. Let's just put that back in there for balance. Just stay there. So I've gotta sand these down. Just sand the eye socket down a little bit more. I realized I accidentally made some, like, at the top here. You can see, like, gaps and whatnot. Thankfully, the eyelid will be able to cover that up, and if not, I've got means. So, because I'm gonna scrim this entire thing to give it a more uniform shape and to just clean them up a little bit. So there's gonna be that, and yeah, so that's the point where I'm at. I've marked out on the beak where I want to sand down. I've got to sand out the eye holes and clean them all up, and I want to actually start working on the mechanism today. So let me jump over and show you what I'm doing with that one. Okay, so I realized I made a mistake in that last clip, and okay, for context, just after that last clip, I took a break to get some food, and while I was waiting for my food to cook, I was scrolling through TikTok, and this video, which I'll have playing here, came across my feed, and I realized that I got a couple things wrong. One, Zazu's eyes are definitely more on the side of his head. And two, I forgot about the extra little bit on the beak. So using foam clay, I've basically covered up a little bit of the interior here of the eye, basically make this iris a little bit smaller, and then I've added the foam clay onto the edges here. What I'm realizing what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to scrim this now before I can continue working on it to make sure that these have enough strength to be able to stand up for a lot of the other work that I'm going to be doing on it. I've also got to like trim on, just do that, trim down a little bit and whatnot. I also need to bevel out this little section of the beak here to give it that little snoot on it. But yeah, otherwise he's just about ready for me to be doing the eyes, which I'm hoping to be able to start doing either tonight or tomorrow kind of deal. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm going to be delayed in progress for a little bit. Hi, Lily. And yeah, that's how we're rocking. So yeah, figured I'd give a little bit of an update between that clip and coming up because I messed up and it's my bad. So yeah, I messed up a little bit. So I've been going around with foam clay and fixing up the issue. So the same foam clay I used for the beak tip, I have rebuilt out, I guess, the jowls. It's the end of the beak to kind of give it that curved look. Build it out on the sides, and then kind of like separate the eyes out so they're more off to the side like it actually is. It's not going to be one-to-one. I know it's not going to be one-to-one. I just want it as close as I can. So now I'm going to literally run outside right now, like right after this clip, smooth this out, bevel these in, and then I'm going to scrim the entire thing. So scrimming is something I've done before. It's basically like a type of paper mache. I'm going to mix, specifically for this guy, because I need him to have a little bit more flexibility. I don't want him to have the same rigidity. I'm going to use a mixture of white glue and water with tissue paper and cover him. It'll give some sort of, it will give structure. It will also make them all one uniform texture and make this styrofoam a lot easier to paint. So I've got to trim around the eyes and whatnot because some of the foam clay didn't stay nicely. And then, yeah, do that. And then I'm going to measure out from the top there down to about the bottom here and be able to get the bottom jaw. So that way I can do the rigging, because I have all the pieces for the rigging to do the mouth movements. So yeah, I'm going to do that all now. And then I'm going to check back in to see where we're at. So yeah, that's what we're doing. I figured at some point I should record an update, but he's fully scrimmed. All nicely done up, and I have started on the eyes. Yes, I made a mistake and one of the eye holes was a little too big, so yes, there is more foam clay on there. I'm not going to scrim over it. I will figure it out. Anyways, I've got the eyes in. Because I don't really want the eyes to move, I just want the blinking, like eyelids to move. I am gonna secure the eyes just in place. I just have them secured with an elastic just up to the top for now. It just kind of holds them in place. Don't mind the thread coming off of it. I just didn't clip it, okay? Don't judge me. So yeah, basically that, and then I'm going to add a eyelid mechanism over top of it. So that's how I'm going about it, because there's a gap on either end, and then the whole back here is going to be black, and then there's going to be like a bottom lid that won't move. Anyways, at the bottom. So that's how it won't, so you won't really see into here other than like a couple of pieces like right on the edges type of dealio. So the eyes actually aren't secured in here yet because I might attach the eyelids to the wire that the eyes are on. But yeah, and then once that's all done up and rigged up, I am going to add the back on to the head. And then the head should be more or less done, because I've got the mechanism for down here. I've got to cut away this section there. But yeah, that's where we're at. I've gotten the nose, and the snoot is all carved in a little bit to give it a little bit more detail, smoothed them all out. I think he looks really good. He actually looks quite good, especially from certain profile angles. So yeah, that's how he's going so far. That's where I'm at. I am going to see how much farther I can get tonight. So yeah, that's where we're at. Oh, eyelids wise, I'm probably going to use Warbler for the top lid, just because it is a little bit more rigid. It will hold its shape. I don't have to worry about it. And then the bottom lid, I'm probably just going to use like 2mm foam, if I'm being completely honest. I might even just like kind of hot or just like glue it into place. But yeah, that is the game plan for the eyes. So let's just keep going, because I just need to get him done. I just need to get him done in time for August 24th. Today is the 5th. So, I'm casually running out of time, but I've got this. I've got this. Let's give me that. I got this. Okay. I think I figured out how to do the eyes. It took a few tries. So, these are the size of the eyes that are in the head. I got a 6-pack of these balls, which I'm very grateful for. I tried initially just scrimming like this directly onto the ball. Downfall, there's no gap. I need there to be at least a slight gap between the ball and the eyelid to be able to get it to move properly. How I found out a way around this? Saran wrap. I have, I think, 4 layers of saran wrap that I put between. Basically, I took the ball and I just wrapped it in saran wrap a couple of times. I think it's 4 times that I wrapped it to give it a buffer. Let's see if I can show you guys. A buffer, not huge, between the outside of the eyelid and the eyeball, because I did one initially that had, I think, just one buffer, and it was too tight, and it was only slightly too tight because I was going to have the wire rigged up into it so I can control the eyelids separately. It worked out really nicely, but it was too tight. So I figured, let's try 4 layers. 4 layers will still give not a ton, but it seems to be working, because it will sit like that, and then you can, not with one hand, but it does actually move independently. So I also need to remove the saran wrap so that it doesn't stick. But yeah, I think I figured out how to do the eyelids. I'm going to quickly prime them with some white paint. This is Liquitex Basics, and why I'm going with this stuff is because it's thick. I need a thick white paint for this, so we're gonna go prime it with this instead of like a regular primer. And then that'll give this a little bit more structural integrity. I've done, I want to say it's 6 layers of tissue paper on this so far, and it's still very thin. So I'm hoping a layer of paint will also help thicken it up, just to give it more structural integrity, because they're decently solid. It is squishy, but they are still decently solid eyelids, but they'll also be reinforced by having the ball on them, so I'm not worried in that aspect. So yeah, that's how I plan on going about doing the eyelids. I'm really hoping this works, so let's do this. Okay, quick jump in progress. I have figured out the eyes. I will likely be able to get them moving. If I don't, I'm at the point of where I just want to get him done. I have 2 days back to back where I get to work on him and basically nothing else other than maybe working on Robin a little bit. I am going to do quickly now a test spray on this foam to make sure that it can hold up. If not, I'm going to have to scrim his eyes and eyelids just to make sure that he can hold up to the spray paint. I've also got, you can kind of see it on here, I have carved a little bit into where his irises, little black parts are going to be. And then yeah, I've added the triangle units. I'm going to post a picture here to kind of show you what I've replicated, but personally, I think he looks fabulous. So yeah, up next is spray paint and then putting the head together so we can install all the rigging into the back of his eyes. So yeah, that's where I'm going with it. Side to paint the beak. I give a progress shot. I've also done the brows on the eyes, got that all done. He looks really good. I put a little bit too much yellow and accidentally had a little, right there, a little bit of overspray, so I got to tidy that up, but I'll tidy that up inside. It's the middle of raining right now, so I'm just hiding in my garage, or where the car parks, I don't know, man. So, yeah, that's what he looks like so far. I've got the eyelids done up. I'll show them right here. And yep, I'll be doing up the blue on the top of the eyelids and then painting the brows inside and whatnot. So yeah, his head is actually really close to being done. I apologize straight off the bat for the audio in this clip because it's going to be terrible, but I've got the paint job on the head done. I've actually, oh goodness, got the lower jaw done too. So I've got that. That's going to be rigged up. I mean, it actually worked out for a second there. Just under here. I am working on the mechanism, which I'll probably show in the next clip. Yeah, but yeah, that's how he looks. Tried to do as much of the detailing as I could. I realized afterwards that the eyes are a little offset, but to be honest, I don't really care at this point. If you don't mind the mess. Those are the eyelids up there. They're currently drying, so they'll be installed in here, which is why back of his head's still open. This gives me the means of being able to put in the eyelids and have them go through and mechanical, so I can like open and close them. Yeah, and then I'll also have the mechanism possibly for the mouth come through here as well, but I have not quite decided. And then afterwards, and the reason why I haven't like finished this side of it off is that I'm probably going to like shim down a little bit just so that this isn't as bulky in the back here. And then this section here, I'm going to fill it with Warbler so I can make it like a little, like a sliding door. That way I have access to the back of his head if I were to ever need to make modifications or fix them. So yeah, that's how we're going. That's how he looks. I really like how he looks, I'll be quite honest. I kind of love how vibrant the blue in the eyes is compared to like the vibrancy in the orange. Just a fluke that I had like the nice colors to match. So yeah, that's where we're at for that one. Okay, to scoot his head out of the way, so I got these bamboo skewers, and I basically broke them down. I think that they're more or less in half, and I took 4 skewers all together. And I realized that I really like the size that my hand was, or about it, for his feet. So I figured I'd make them about the same size, just a little bit smaller. And then I've just basically just hot glued a mass into the middle here to be able to like give them the same positioning like here. So yeah, Then his legs will have his little chicken legs going up into the body. And then the body will also be white and whatnot. And then I've got, you know, the neck and everything. And then I'm going to cover him in feathers. One thing I kind of decided is that I'm probably not going to make his wings move. I'm probably just going to have him tucked up against the sides. I have to take the public transit at least once with him. And there's only so much sanity I have. So, I've got his feet. I'm going to build them up with foam clay. I've got his body that I'm going to scrim with tissue paper and probably wood glue so that he's nice and sturdy and nice and solid. He's actually just tin foil underneath here. I don't know if I can open this up at all and show you. Yeah, he's literally just a massive tin foil ball that I've covered in painter's tape, and then I'm going to cover again in tissue paper so that he holds his shape. It'll be good. But yeah, that's where we're at with everything. I'm at a point where I think by Friday he might be done. Who knows? We'll see. So yeah, that's where I'm at. We're going from this to this to make his feet. I'm just using foam clay. I've got them so they've got a little joint in them so they can wobble. Nice and fun. This is just literally a piece of Warbler with a bolt and a screw, and that's about it. It's kind of locked into place. It will lock more once it dries, but yeah. That is how I'm doing the feet. I'm using a couple reference images to figure it out, but I've got this underneath as a skeleton, and then I'm just adding the foam clay and putting it on the top. So yeah, that's how it's going. From this to this. Now I just gotta do some detail and shading. I think it'll look good. I think it's gonna look really good. Okay, I won't lie. I have to look through my video clips to see where I was. So last thing I showed was that I got the feet's done. So feet's done and whatnot. From here, I took the feet and I found I had just these cups laying around that I've been using for like water and whatnot. And this half shell from, I think it was those like mini brands books. It turned out it was like a great size-wise. So I just glued those together, and then I took this art paper, this heavy duty art paper, folded it into quarters, and then I just cut out a bunch of feathers from it. I liked how it gave me like the rigid lines. I know those rigid lines are mostly because my scissors were going dull, but we're going to ignore that fact. And so I basically made the feathers. I've got a bunch cut out, so I'm going to cover the body, the neck, and the back of the head with them as well. But yeah, that's where it was with the feet. Moving on to the head, because I haven't recorded in a while. I have attached the jaw, so the jaw now has a hinge. It's all hinged up. Just contact cement with foam. And then I've started adding the feathers to his head. And I've basically made giant staples out of wire. And I use that to basically staple the neck into the head. Because the head's still hollow on the inside. Give me 1 second, I gotta reposition them. Don't worry, I'm going to cover this seam up, so that will get hidden. But the head is... Oh, alright, we're gonna have to step away for a second. Basically, I've got some magnets around the outside of the head, and I've got some magnets inside. That way, when I have the time, I'll be able to actually properly rig up the eyes, because I unfortunately don't have the time to do it for Fan Expo. So yeah, I'll have that all done up in there. But yeah, the big staples, I pulled one up so you could see it. It's basically just big old pieces of wire that run through the back of the head and then into here. So yeah, that's how the neck is being held on this end in particularly. He's sewn onto this end, allowing it to be able to be decently connected on both sides. So yeah, that's where the neck is connected, and then we'll be continuing on with a bunch of the feathers along the back of the head. We got some nice big fluffy feathers for movement, and then yeah, we're going to be attaching the feathers, the paper feathers, along a ring along the middle here, so that way it can collapse down still and pull back out without worrying about it too much. Base coating most things in either this cream white or in white, just so that everything blends in together. Got to do that a little bit for the feathers on his head and whatnot. I'm probably going to do a little bit of the cheek feathers too. What I'm going to do for those take some of my yellow foam and I'm going to paint the top of it white and then snip into it so that it's got white on the top and orange underneath. It will create a nice little glow effect on him. It'll look really nice, I promise. So yeah, basically that's where I'm at. I have the studs in place for the feet. I'm gonna make a stud in the back for his wings, where the wing mechanism is gonna connect. And then the next big thing is making the feathers. So let me jump to that next. I've got these big sheets of semi-translucent clear plastic. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace out the feather design on here onto the smooth side, so onto the back side here, and then I'm going to spray paint them white and then do the designs on them and cut them out. Basically is that there's going to be a wire running all the way up the feather to allow it to be able to bend and have some motion, have some bounce and whatnot, so they're just not drooping behind. If you look at the photos, you can tell that there is a wire. What the feathers are probably made of is a material called Tyvek. I was unable to source Tyvek for Zazu. If I remake Zazu, I will probably go about trying to source a massive roll of Tyvek. But yeah, Tyvek is basically house wrap. It's fun stuff. It's really great and it's used a lot in props. I'm pretty certain Zazu's made a lot out of Tyvek, and probably a lot more than I'm thinking he is. So yeah, that's how I'm going to do the feathers, at least the big ones. So the wings, the tail and whatnot are going to be done with this. So yeah, let me get to tracing those out, and then we're going to go outside and we're going to go spray paint. It'll be fun. I ask you to please excuse the mess in this clip. I have been going at this for a couple of hours now, and it's going. So I haven't made an update in a little bit, and it's going to be kind of a two-parter update, because honestly, after this, I'll probably just show him completed. We got the head, we've got the paper feathers that I cut out, and now I'm just going around and round and around the neck. Will I do the body? Who knows? The feetsies are attached. The ankles are articulated. Hi, Lily. But the knee, hip is not. Couple of reasons for that. One, I ran out of basically stuff to make it articulated, so it's just gonna have a solid leg. So yeah, that, he got his butt. His feathers are downstairs. I have to install those tonight as well. And yeah, gotta do the neck. We're gonna find out in about 20 minutes whether or not I'm actually going to do the neck, or if I'm just gonna leave it blank like this. For a couple of reasons. I may not have enough feathers to do it. I may not also have enough time or glue. So we're gonna find out. Haven't figured that out yet. So yeah, that's how the neck is going. That's out of curiosity. Okay, so Lily's a fairly standard sized cat. Look how big she is compared to his body. Like he's decently sized. He's a solid small turkey. I'll be quite honest. Actually, Bug, come here. Come be a size comparison for the head. No? Okay. Her body, head to where base of her tail is about the size of his head, if anybody's curious on sizing wise. But yeah, that's how he's turned out. I've got the feathers, things from there. I was gonna do, basically, I'm probably just gonna do a quick paint job just to blend the seam in a little bit. But yeah. Oh, also, before I forget, I've installed the rod to do the trigger mechanism for his mouth. So I've got that all installed and ready to go. So yeah, let's jump over to where I've been working on the feathers. And excuse the mess in the new studio space. Okay, so feathers. These are the tail ones. They are nicely done up. I was testing the curve on this one to figure out how far of the curve I need to go. And so I'm going to curve these three once they're on him. I'll probably uncurve this one and then recurve it afterwards. And so they've got wires coming off the base of them. That way I can basically plug him into his butt. And then for the wings, I've got, let's just put these off to the side there. I've got these. I've got two of them. I've just got to finish up doing the second one. And yeah. So basically, I'm going to cut out each of these wings. I've painted the detailing on them. I've actually got to do the darker stripe on them, cut them out, and I'm going to piece them together like they're closed up behind them, like on a bird. Picture here. See how it's all folded up nicely beside them? Basically what I'm going to be doing. Yeah, it's gonna be relatively easy to do, I won't lie, because I wanted the wings to be articulated, but I also, that was if I could do it, I would do it, and I've run out of time. I'll be quite honest. I'm recording this the Wednesday night. Fan Expo starts tomorrow morning, or well, tomorrow afternoon, and yeah, we've run out of time, so we're crunching. Oops. Yeah. If anybody's curious how much time I've had to do this, it has not been as much as I thought it would be. So anyways, cut these out, put the new ones on there, paint those, probably cut them out tomorrow morning, assemble the wings, attach the wings to the body, and we'll be good to go. Thank God I'm not bringing him until Friday. He's got Thursday to completely dry and cure. So that's where we're at. I'm not going crazy, I swear. I promise. I promise I'm not going crazy. Just a little crazy. But basically this is how I'm doing the feathers. I figured I'd jump in and do a little bit of a clip. I gotta get more paint. So basically I'm just sponging it on. And what I'll do afterwards is once I get this brown layer on, I will turn around and I will make like this like yellowy white color. And I will blend it into the bottom. I'm using my brushes and my sponges, and this actually does hurt my shoulder after a while, I won't lie. But yeah, I try and make some of the lines clean, but like, I'm also not super worried about it. So I might have to blend more color. I'm running out. I always think the color will go further than it does. And it never does. So yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Let me jump back once I've got the yellow. If it hurts your shoulder so much, why are you doing the stamping? You wanna know why? Because I'm a masochist who likes texture. So we stamp and we blend. Stamp and blend. Stamp and blend. And go like that. And at the end, I'll do another one where I basically blend it down to white. I don't know if you guys just saw that, but my light just flickered a little bit and it freaked me out. Alrighty, but yeah, this is what we're doing for the feathers. This is what we do. It's easiest to keep the brush in the same orientation every way. That way it keeps the blend the same. It also allows for you to be able to keep the paint from, like, it blends it on the brush too. And so it makes it so that I can keep the bright yellow, because I can just go down to the corner and keep the yellow instead of having yellow and brown, but it blends it on the brush too, which helps. In the end, it still hurts my shoulder though, I won't lie. Which is funny because like I'm a trained archer. Like super trained, and this is hurting my shoulder. So like understand, if you try and replicate this, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. So anyways, I'm gonna do my feathers. I'm gonna cut them out because I've got those ones cut out there. I'm gonna cut them out. Well, I gotta let them dry overnight first, you know. Gotta let things dry. And then I'm going to mount them with popsicle sticks and pop them on the body. I can't believe I'm almost done. It's kind of wild to think that. But anyways, I gotta get this blended before the brown dries. So I'll see you guys later. So he's done. We got the tail butt, which I'm gonna curl those up a little bit. Wings are on. Head is done. The trigger broke, like as I was assembling it. So I don't think the trigger is gonna work. But he's done. We're outside. His eyes are really freaky in the sunlight. He's got a big old feather. I'm 4'10", okay? He's massive. I chose not to do the feathers on the neck, mostly because I don't know if I'd have the coordination to do it, but I can actually open his mouth a little bit. So, I've got somebody off to the side, that's why I keep looking over, but yeah, he can talk a little bit. Not as chatty as he normally is, but he's fun. I like him. I think I did a good job. So yeah, that's making the Zazu puppet. So I'll see you guys next time, and maybe I'll see some of you at Fan Expo. Cheers.